I can't escape it. My entire timeline, my YouTube feed and everything is talking about this, and so I might as well talk about it. Basically, Jujutsu Kaisen is getting a sequel series by Gege, the same author of the original Jujutsu Kaisen, and everything has been leaked. Like, to put this in perspective, the series isn't even officially out yet, like, even in Japan. Like, it has yet to actually come out in the magazine, the chapter, officially for people to read, and we already have very infamous leakers leaking pretty much the entirety of the chapter, and pages of the chapter, and plot twist, and what's going on. And I'm just like, dude, I thought I would never see a time period like this again. I thought, like, maybe leaks to the scale of, like, Jujutsu Kaisen, like, when it was coming out as a manga, like, over a year ago, we would not see that same thing reappear, but it has. And what series to bring it back than Jujutsu Kaisen itself? It's actually insane that the entirety of this story already, like at least the first chapter, has already been leaked. And I'm going to cover it. I'm going to talk about it, but let's read this here. So, apparently this is a comment from Gege, the author of Jujutsu Kaisen, and what they say about, like, the new series. For instance, the spin-off continuation of JJK. Hello, it's Akutami. It's been a while. While serializing Jujutsu Kaisen, I received several offers for spin-offs written by others. However, because manga is a medium where things can easily get out of my control, I was afraid of the title spreading in ways I couldn't manage. So at the time, I couldn't accept those offers. But when this particular offer came, and I thought about how it might expand the main story, delve deeper into its setting, or even shift eras entirely, I realized that if it were set in a parallel line, it could open the door to many different projects. This became the spark that gave rise to Mojuro, which originally didn't even have a single concrete idea, and after numerous planning meetings, it finally came to life. This will be a short-term serialization, about half a year if it doesn't get axed, collected in roughly 3 volumes. The artist is the incredible talented Yuji Iwasaki-sensei. He's amazing, his drawings are superb. Truly, I'd be very happy if you enjoy Mojuro as a new entry point into the world of Jujutsu. So for those that have no idea who Yuji Iwasaki is, this is what he's worked on. As you can see, he's been working on manga for a while now, but he's only done the artwork for manga. One series in particular that many might recognize is Cypher Academy, which sadly did get axed a while back, but it had very beautiful art. And so the artwork from the previous works of Yuji is pretty spot on. If there's anyone that can really do justice to Jujutsu Kaisen, I do think that Yuji Iwasaki is a pretty good choice. But getting back into the topic of the information we got with JJK, we need to talk about what's going on right now and what this means for not just JJK, but for Shonen Jump and manga. So first off, it's been very obvious for a while now that Shonen Jump is desperate. They are extremely desperate to have a banger. And if you don't know what I'm talking about how a lot of their heavy-hitting series are done. They're complete. Like, the only really massive series in their magazine at this point is One Piece. Hunter x Hunter's still there, technically, but obviously there's just so many hiatuses, it's like, it's not something that probably keeps the magazine alive while it's on hiatus, so to speak. So the point is that they need a series that really stands out and will carry the magazine on its back. However, there's not many series within Shonen Jump that are really capable of doing that right now, or at least haven't appeared yet so far. The only series that have come in recent times is already long gone. JJK is an example, Demon Slayer is another one, Chainsaw Man is no longer in the magazine, it's shifted into more of an adultish magazine, so it's like they don't have a series that can really hold up the magazine anymore, and they're worried. They're desperate because once One Piece comes to an end, the magazine honestly is going to go through a lot of issues. I mean, they don't even have My Hero Academia anymore, or Black Clover really anymore, and that's the point, is that they don't have these big titles, these big names that have garnered such a massive fan base. And so that's the point here, is that I think that Shonen Jump is extremely desperate for a series to stay around for a good long while, for hundreds upon hundreds of chapters, but it's really hard for something like that to happen with a variety of different issues. For one, it seems like nowadays series have been cultivated to really speed run towards its conclusion instead of sticking around for 500, 600 plus chapters as manga of old back in like the early 2000s and late 2010s. It seems like manga shifted away from that, but also because of how Shonen Jump operates and they constantly axe things left and right and don't let things really mature and grow, it has caused a situation to where anything that did have potential or was unique no longer is there, or maybe these artists or, authors have given up and moved to a completely different magazine. So I think that the reason why JJK is coming out like it is, I think in part it is Gege Akutami wanting to continue the series in some degree. I do think that is truthful, but I do think that there might have been some, pressure or at least some conversation on the side to have JJK continue to some degree. Because Gege Akutami even admits here that he's had numerous offers to continue it, and basically he just didn't want the series to get outside of his control. And a series in particular that really comes to mind when it comes to this, honestly, is Boruto, actually. I mean, you gotta imagine, Naruto was very popular, and then it ended, and then obviously it was continued by another offer for a while. And I think that that's a big thing here, is that Gege doesn't want his series to kind of leave his hands. He's very protective of it, which I completely understand and respect. I think anyone that is an artist that, really cherishes their work and cares for it, they would want to have creative control over it. They don't want someone else coming in, swooping in, and changing it however they see fit, and doing their own fanfic of the story. So he's very protective, and I think that is a great thing in general, but I think that the beginning of this conversation, his statement more or less feels like there was higher up pressure, bigwigs and stuff, that pressured him to continue the series in some degree, and then he eventually caved in because obviously saw an opportunity that did interest him, but I think maybe the discussion started because of that, because the series was obviously at a height of popularity, and then just abruptly ended. Now, once again, this is just speculation, there's no evidence to really back this up, I'm just talking about from what I assume is going on, okay? So don't think this is 100% factually what actually happened. Now, with that being said, though, we do need to talk about the leaks, okay? Because obviously, there is some stuff that came out that is, pretty wild. Like this one. Oh my goodness, dude. I got spoiled on this. I was scrolling, okay? Not even on Twitter, okay? I was scrolling on YouTube. And I saw this appear in my feed. I saw someone with this thumbnail. This screenshot of this tweet in their thumbnail. I'm not even joking. And I was like, dude, are you serious? I understand. I understand what it means to be a content creator. You gotta get them clicks and stuff. I fully understand. But I'm just like, it really is back, man. JJK is back in full swing with its leaks and stuff. And to find out that apparently Yuta is dead. He died. And and then Maki is dead as well. I'm just like, dude. What? And then, to go one step further, if you keep scrolling about this, you find out, they're officially married, which is kind of a no-brainer, that was very obvious, but, you kind of find out that the story carries on after the conclusion of JJK, that little brief epilogue we got. You also find out that apparently there's aliens. There's actually aliens. And, the new manga, the spin-off manga. Yeah, apparently aliens. Don to Don, is that you? With a different coat of paint? It really does feel like that. It feels like, we are having, a similar effect to Dawn right now with JJK. I'm not saying it's gonna be a carbon copy or anything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, that was my first thought when I saw aliens being introduced into JJK. I was like, okay. I see what you mean. Anyways, I do think that in general, I am pretty excited to read it, and here's the reason why. Gege, obviously, from his own words, from his own mouth, he is being protective of his story. So, which means that he doesn't want to see the series turn into something that he didn't envision himself. Which I think is good. That's good. That's good news. Which means that the series isn't just being used potentially for a cash grab. It is actually being used to expand upon the story. Because, let's be honest, there is a lot that can still be expanded upon in JJK. There is a lot of, questions still unanswered at the conclusion of JJK's manga. There is. For instance, one thing that's been left unanswered since the ending is the domain. What was Yuji's domain expansion? We never really got an explanation, or I think we didn't even get a name for what it was, which is just so odd. I mean, especially for a shonen of all things. For those that don't know, shonen, have different names and move names for their techniques, not just because, obviously, to, let audiences that read the series know what they're doing, but also for merchandise, for fighting games and stuff, selling of stuff. And when you know a technique unique name, it can be easy marketing. For instance, Kamehameha. Like, everybody recognizes Kamehameha or the Genki Dama, aka Spirit Bomb, or Kaioken. You recognize the Spirit Gun, Bankai, stuff like that. These are aspects that are used to, like, advertise and market things. And domain expansion is definitely a marketing tool. People definitely recognize domain expansion. But the point is that it's usually also, like, accompanied with a name. And the fact that, like, we don't have Yuji's domain expansion name is pretty nuts to me. Like, it feels so weird and off. So, that's why I'm a little bit excited for the continuation of JJK, because there will probably be a lot of things that was left unanswered that will get answered. And even Gege himself explains that he wants to delve deeper into the story, expand upon the main story. And I mean, the themes with what's already been spoiled is apparently about, like, repeating cycles and reincarnation. So it's very likely, like, Sukuna, for instance, is going to reappear in some shape or form, a little bit different than what he was, but probably reappear. And it might expand upon Kinjaku at the end that was basically left in, like, question mark status. We didn't really know what was going on with that, with how he came back to life. So there is areas to expand upon. There is things that can be explained, and I think that if there is any story that deserves it, it's definitely JJK. So I don't think this is a bad thing. But there's a lot of things, I think, riding on this series. Like, for instance, Shonen Jump wants the series to continue because, they want another banger, but I also think Gege feels like he can do more with it, which is completely fine. I don't know how I feel about the alien angle. I gotta see where that one's gonna go, because obviously I haven't read the chapter myself, because it's just leaks right now, I'm gonna wait. But yeah, I want to leave it at that, though. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below, how you feel about everything, how do you feel about JJK being back in every single way, the good and the bad. Be honest in the comments below, but I love you guys, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.